are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. It is Friday, May 20th, and we are on YouTube.
God, it feels good. It feels really, really good.
It really does.
Look, it's definitely different. It's a different feel. But is it more hype? I think it is. I think it is a little bit more hype.
And it adds an extra element to the show that we just weren't able to give before. We'll be able to have graphics, videos, clips up on the screen with us.
Get to look you right in the eye and say what's up. You finally get to see the faces behind the phenomenal voices. Actually, I hate my voice, but I feel like everyone that gets recorded doesn't like their voice.
Yeah.
Maybe except for singers, but not a fan of my voice. But hey, whatever. At least I look, presentable.
Yeah. So
that's a win.
Luke and Tim, like normal, for The Issue. We have a great episode to get to you today. Hits and misses to start, like we always do. Tim has a rant at the end of the first segment. Leading into the second segment, we will have over-under NFL win predictions for 10 NFL teams. Very interesting. We were going through them a little bit yesterday, a little bit this morning.
We're going to make a lot of people mad. We're going to make a lot of people mad.
But, that's what a good show does best. It ruffles some feathers.
I feel like it's the most... It is the defining feature of a Cowboy fan. You know what I mean? Like it might be their most useful quality is to just make them upset.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a bad person for that. And if a Dallas Cowboy media guy said that, I'd probably be upset. If he said that about the Steelers. But hey, all's fair in the game of war. All right.
And then you'll have a second rant that will kind of lead into a little bit of a discussion between us in this second segment. And then in the third, we're wrapping up the Penguin season, talking to Tyler Bursick. He'll be on.
A little bit upset about the way it ended. We'll get to that.
Then some news and who's that Yinzer to finish it off like we have been doing for the past couple of weeks here. But, without further ado, let's get started into hits and misses.
So, I said it last week's show, the last audio-only show, if you will. I said the Pens lose this series in 7. I said the way they lost Game 5, that hurts. And if they lose Game 6, bad, which... another 2-goal lead blown, right? You didn't have Sid. If you lose that bad at home, there's no way that the momentum that the Rangers gain from that is going to stop when they get back to the Garden. They're going to keep it rolling. Of course, the Pens had a lead in the third period. They blow it, lose in overtime, just like I had predicted that they would lose in 7 games. I said Sid won't be back for 6. That's going to hurt them. He'll be back for 7. I don't think it matters. Too much momentum's been gained for the Rangers, exactly like I outlined it. So, I don't want to look, I'm not happy that I'm right. I said on the last week's show, I said it's a win-win for me, right? If the Penguins win and move on, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah.
Happy guy. But if they lose, I at least can check off one of my hits. I'm at least a little bit happy. It shows that I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit.
Yep.
I do know sports a bit, so it feels good. Kind of. All right, first miss. Over to you, big dog.
Yeah, I had the Penguins winning the series. I was optimistic about them after that Game 5 loss. Not entirely optimistic. I was definitely, treading with some caution there. But I think at the end of the day, they had to win it in 6 if they were going to win it. Because you were right. There was no way, if it's going to go to a Game 7, they have that momentum, and now they've won 2 straight.
Snowballing.
There's no way they lose at home at MSG.
Right.
Which, by the way, the ice was horrific. At MSG.
What is that about? What is that about?
It was really bad.
Was it super warm there? I didn't even check the weather because I don't care. But
I don't know.
Was there something wrong?
I think their ice is historically bad because there's so many uses for that building that it's just
right.
Constantly...
So they have to melt it and refreeze it. Well, not even that, but they have to sink it down to the next level, get the basketball court on, and restart. Obviously, it's not basketball season though, so I don't know what
concerts,
I guess.
But
they have those little air conditioners that freeze the ice from the side from all around. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's what they do.
Must have been a faulty one or two. I don't know.
Either way, I was wrong on the Pens there. Didn't really pull it together. I think if Crosby would have played for Game 6, which there's like rumors and speculation coming out now saying he was ready, but he was told by the team. I really think that if he was truly ready, the team would have rolled him out there.
Right.
They got a lot of millions of dollars riding on that, and if your captain's ready to go, you play him.
Look, you think that the Pens, first of all, don't want to start their captain at home for a chance to clinch the series? No, they wanted to.
Yeah.
Second of all, if you win and move on to the next round, the amount of revenue that you generate from another 3 home games.
Oh,
like you think they didn't want to sign on for 3 more home games in the playoffs? Like, no, I don't think that was the case. Like, they definitely wanted Sid to play and for him to advance.
Yeah.
And on Sid's side, if he was ready, he was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that them holding him out for medical reasons, right? His head injuries have always been his issue. Like, why would you throw him right back into action if he just got a head injury?
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
It does not. But either way, I was wrong.
All right, another hit here. I said the Steelers, look, you're going to see Kenny Pickett. He's going to be a lot better than what we've had the last couple years, and we are going to win a good amount of games. Well, the schedule got released. People are like, oh, it's a brutal schedule. I'd say pump the brakes a little bit. They face a young coach, either a rookie, second year, or third year that we're not sure about coach in 6 games. And then they have a veteran rookie head coach, like the Saints guy. And, oh my God, I'm blanking on the other guy. But in 2 games, so that's 8 games that you're going to have a young-ish head coach, right? Either a rookie or just a physically young coach.
Yeah.
And you'll face a young or not good quarterback in 7 games. Right now, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's going to be better than them, but he's not going to be overmatched in 7 of the games,
No.
which might not seem like a lot, but if he can win the battle in 7 games, Tomlin will steal you another 2 or 3 games. Oh, we're at 10 wins now, right? So people are saying the schedule this, the schedule that, it's terrible. I don't think it's that bad. Now, it's going to be difficult, right? You got the Patriots, we have the Buccaneers, right? It'll be tough, but it's not going to be as bad as people are saying. Pump the brakes a little bit. Young coaches in 6 games and young quarterbacks or not good quarterbacks in 7. Tomlin owns them a lot like Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Owns young quarterbacks. I think they'll be just fine. Not about another miss here. I think we both predicted this, that Derek Carr would be on a different team. Was it this year or by next year? I don't even know.
By next year. It was on the Instagram.
Now, it's not entirely a miss yet, but he did sign a contract, so unless something crazy happens, he did sign an extension. I think it was 2 or 3 years. So he'll be in, I almost said Oakland, he'll be in Vegas for at least another 2 or 3 years now.
Right.
I think they've decided he's the kind of the franchise quarterback for them, and I don't see why he wouldn't be. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, closer to 10 than 1. And I think he's more like 9, 10, maybe even 11.
And we've said it on the show before, he's the most talented 4th best quarterback in a division.
Absolutely.
I think maybe of all time.
Absolutely.
He's great. And to our defense a little bit, I think part of the reason we thought that he was going to be moved was because he wanted more of a stable organization that has a direction. Well, the Raiders have kind of flipped the script a little bit. They've got, they got rid of John Gruden
and Mike Mayock did not
move them out. A lot of noise, a lot of chaos last year. Feels a little more stable, a little more functional. They go out, they get Devontae Adams. They're starting to build the pieces around him. I think he likes what he sees in Las Vegas.
They're getting the right positions, right? They go out and they pay for a big wide receiver. They go out and get another edge rusher. Like, they're understanding, hey man, we have Mahomes, Herbert, and now Russell Wilson in our division.
Yeah.
If they all sit back there, they're going to pick us apart. We have to get to the quarterback, and it's also we need Devontae Adams because those guys, even with our pass rush, are still going to put up 27, 28, 30 points, right?
You need that weapon.
We got to score.
You need that weapon.
And finally giving Derek Carr, I feel like it's always been, is Derek Carr going to get traded this offseason? Is he going to re-sign? There's always been, speculation about his future in Vegas or even Oakland at one point. For them to finally say, you know what? We trust you. We're going to go out and get your college teammate and one of the best receivers in football. Here you go. But, it's almost like a Christmas gift to Derek Carr, finally, because you guys have not... It's always been up in the air. Is he's even going to be your quarterback next year? You finally put your arms around him a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely enjoying the little bit of stability that he's getting right now.
Right. All right, how about another hit here? I said I don't really know what the Bears are doing with their offseason, and I'm going to get into this more in the second segment. I for the life of me can't understand. They don't pay anybody. I don't know who they pay. They pay linebackers and safeties. First of all, you had to let your best corner go last offseason. You had to trade Khalil Mack this offseason. You couldn't pay Allen Robinson. You're not paying your quarterback. Your offensive line's terrible. Where's your money? Like, I don't understand what the Bears are doing. First of all, you go get a young quarterback, super dynamic young quarterback. You can't get him any weapons. Darnell Mooney's is number one. I like Darnell Mooney, but he's a 2. He's a 2. He's not big enough to be a 1. He's not physically dependable enough to be a 1. Yeah. He's a 2. A really good 2, but he's a 2. The running back's okay. Offensive line's terrible. Even the defense now that you got rid of Khalil Mack, not good. It's not going to be that good of a defense. You got to help this kid somehow. Yeah. I don't understand what the Bears are doing, and I'll get into more of that in the second segment. And finally, last miss here. I think we predicted the Red Sox to be, what, second or third in the division and at least, like, competent.
Oh, yeah.
They're, like, 15 and 20 or something like that.
Bottom of the AL East.
No, they're fourth in the AL East. They're only like a game and a half up a bottom now.
Oh, okay.
Right there. Thank God the Orioles are in their division, or else they would be last in a lot of them, because the Orioles are pretty bad too. But
they're slipping close. I did not see them making this a little bit of a slide at this point in the season. I thought they were going to be at least one of the dominant teams right out of the gates. I mean, they have the roster for it. At least I thought they did.
And like I said that their pitching was going to be a problem, but I figured, okay, we have Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Trevor Story, J.D. Martinez, Alex Verdugo. If that's your top 5 in your order, that's a World Series caliber lineup.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they just can't put it together. I don't know. If Bobby Dahlbeck's if Bobby Dahlbeck's your 6th best hitter, they're a pretty good offensive lineup. They just can't pitch.
Well, they can't pitch, and I think I saw a stat somewhere that says they have one of the highest left on base percentages this season.
Makes sense. I said that Devers is a MVP candidate, though. A little bit of a hit here on a sidebar. I said he'd be an MVP. He's my MVP pick.
Yeah.
He's hitting like 330 with like already 20, 30 RBI, something like that. Like an insane amount already, because he's a beast. He's a unit. By the way, just got him in MLB The Show. Killing it. I think he's like 6 for... I've only hit like 2 games with him. I think he's like 6 for 7 with 3 bombs. Just can't get out. Okay, so I digress. All right, let's transition here real quick to a little bit of a rant. So I was thinking, like, optimism, awesome, right? Generally speaking, pretty good thing, right? Brings happiness, unity, right? Enjoyment to general everyday tasks, right? I try to be optimistic. I tend to think optimism, though, is a two-sided coin, a yin and yang, whatever you're feeling. It needs to be balanced out with being realistic, right? Optimism without realism or realisticness or whatever, it's a waste of time. Everyone's pumped for their NFL teams this season, right? Like I'm seeing Chicago media, New York media asking, "Oh, what can the Bears do?" And the Giants and the Jets, like, how do they become playoff teams this year? Like, why are they going to get to the playoffs this year? Pause. If any of these teams win 6 games, they should walk out of the season with a thinking that that's a W. If the Jets in that division get 6 wins, Robert Saleh might get an extension. I mean, if the Bears, with easily the worst line in the division, easily the worst, maybe not worst weapons because Green Bay is pretty bad, definitely the worst quarterback, a rookie head coach, and a defense that you just let go your 2 best pieces, if they get 6 wins, Matt Eberflus is set for 5 years. Pause. Okay, don't set the bar too high. And I generally don't like to blame like the casual fan for this, because that's what being a fan is, right? You should be excited. You should be enthusiastic. Go to the games, buy gear, have fun, right? That's what a fan should be. Short for fanatic, right? That's what they should be. But when I get it from the media, it's just nonsense. It's not. Prime example is the Dallas Cowboys. Their over-under win total, which we'll get to in the game as well, is 10.5. Not only is that number just egregious, but what I'm seeing from Dallas media, they're taking the over on the 10.5.
Wow.
Hey, you lost your number 1 receiver, your number 3 receiver, 2 starting offensive linemen, and your best pass rusher. All the positions that matter. Offensive line, wide receiver, edge rusher. You lost your best in every single category there. Just say that out loud, right? Explain to me how we hit 11 wins there. We lost 2 of our top 3 pass catchers. We lost 2 of our top 3 linemen. And we lost our best edge rusher. So we're not going to be able to get to the quarterback. Our quarterback's probably not going to be as good, considering if you look at his splits with and without Amari Cooper, he's a completely different quarterback. So we can't get to your quarterback. Our quarterback's not effective, and we can't even protect our own quarterback. Yeah, that sounds like an 11-win team to me. Like, are you out of your mind? I mean, you're seeing it in other cities, too. Another example is the Giants, over under 7.5. All I'm hearing out of New York, Brian Daboll's going to fix Daniel Jones, and we're going to win a bunch of games. Let's take the over, right? They're one of the sneaky overs of the year. That's the term, the sneaky over. So Brian Daboll's going to make Daniel Jones more athletic somehow? Is Brian Daboll a strength and conditioning guy? I don't think so. So he's going to, is he going to give him a better arm? Not how that works. So is he going to make him stop fumbling the football 3 times a game? I doubt it. Brian Daboll can't go hold on to the football for him. Let me know how that goes. That's delusional. See, these kind of expectations set for these teams by people of some authority, right? These are people you listen to on the daily radio show, right? Might have a TV show or something like that. This is where the outrage begins, right? This is how people get set up to be fired, right? Because people actually start to believe it. Like, let's be realistic. Like, if Justin Fields in Chicago wins 6 games and looks significantly better, is that not a win? Right? If Justin Fields go out there, shows some flashes of greatness, and they win 6 games and are competitive another 4, that's a win, right? You have to walk out of that season thinking, yeah, I'll take that. In a division with Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, who's significantly better, and Jared Goff, who's been to a Super Bowl, if I get to 6 wins and look like a better quarterback, and we're competitive in 4 more losses, that's a pretty good day. That's a pretty good day. Instead of headlines like, why Justin Fields will be the next sophomore quarterback to lead his team to a Super Bowl. Why is that even a headline? I mean, everyone post-draft and post-free agency is just feeling themselves, right? 30% of first-round picks don't hit. Or, I'm sorry, 30% of first-round picks do hit. The other 60, 70, whatever, don't. They're busts. Or rotational pieces. 30% of them will be, like, quality starters. And even less in free agency in the later rounds, right? I think it's like 23% of free agents end up making a difference. I mean, if you can get 3 difference makers in one offseason, if you're the GM, you're getting a raise, right? That's the reality of it. Like, I love the enthusiasm. I love it. I love the optimism. But from the media, guys, let's tamper some expectations, right? All you're hearing, you're going to hype them up. Everyone, all the fans are going to be thinking this. Everyone's like, the Bears are going to the Super Bowl. Well, and then they win 5 games, and Matt Eberflus is the worst coach in the world, and Justin Fields, we got to move off of him. Slow your roll, right? Relax a little bit. And I'm not saying the Cowboys are an absolute mess, but if you think this is your year, right, the Cowboys are always like, this is our year. I mean, if you come into this season thinking that this is your year, I can't help you. I can't help you. Right? Bring it down a notch. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. Bring it down a notch, tamper some expectations. It's all just relax, right? Like even me for the Steelers. Huge diehard Steelers fan. And you'll find out that I'm even going to take the over on their win total. It's 7.5. But that I don't expect them to make the playoffs, first of all. I expect them to scrap to 8 wins. I think it's going to be a difficult 8, maybe 9. Maybe 9 wins. Probably won't make the playoffs. Kenny Pickett's going to have some growing pains. That's a normal expectation. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they're slightly over their win total. Kenny Pickett, growing pains, is going to look average. Certainly better than Ben, but he's not going to be lighting the world on fire. Those are realistic expectations. Right? Atlanta's another example. Now, Atlanta, I'm not hearing a lot of crazy stuff from the media, but you have Marcus Mariota as your quarterback, a second-year head coach. Your number 1 receiver is suspended for gambling. You're bringing in Drake London, who we'll see, but some people view him not super polished, doesn't separate, big catch radius, but not a real precise route runner. Kyle Pitts in his second year, and nothing else. And so let's tamper some expectations. If Atlanta wins 6-7 games in the division with Tom Brady, that's a win. That's a win. That's all I got.
I think a lot of that, too. So you're talking about big expectations, being overly optimistic. I think that's a lot of what we see just because of, like, the landscape of the league today. So, like, you don't really have time to figure it out in the NFL anymore, right? I mean, like,
Not
these
as a quarterback,
contracts, they will move on from you quick. I mean, if you're not the guy, turnover has to be like that. It's the most valuable position. So I feel like a lot of times fans and teams get so optimistic and so excited to almost try to create
urgency
to get that quarterback to perform, because they are so afraid of having to go back to the quarterback market and possibly making another very costly mistake.
Right. You're certainly not wrong. I don't know. We'll explore a little bit more of, maybe how to groom a young quarterback here at the end of the second segment. But when we come back, we'll have the over-under game, 10 NFL teams, their over-under win totals set by Vegas. And I will tell you over or under for those 10 teams and a little bit of why. All right. We are back. Second segment, the issue on a Friday.
Feels good.
Feels very good. Pretty nice day. It's summertime in Western Pennsylvania. We're living, we're laughing, we're loving it. I don't know. I think it's maybe 80 right now. Probably close to that.
It's getting up there.
I don't know.
We're getting up to 90 today. Friday,
see.
hot day.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's it's 74. I think. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad. We love a good summertime. First of all, no school, right? For those who are in college, high school, even. Nobody likes school, so this feels good. This is nice.
More time to concentrate on what matters now.
Like this, yeah. I mean, all right, so second segment here, we're going to have the over-under game. Luke's going to read me some over-unders for, I think we have 10 NFL teams.
Yes, we do.
I'm going to tell you if I like the over-under total for this coming season, and then I'll get into a little bit of a rant/discussion here about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears and how I think it applies to Pittsburgh and how we should, quote-unquote, raise our young quarterback, Kenny Pickett.
Yep. All right.
So let's get into the little game here.
But first, we got our over-under for the NFL win totals. Okay, this was posted by the NFL. You can go check out their graphic, but then you can go check out our graphic. It'll be posted on Instagram of our predictions for these 10 over-unders here. So to start off, the Miami Dolphins at 8.5.
I'm going to go under. First of all, they've been pretty successful against Bill Belichick in the recent years, but that was with Brian Flores.
Yeah.
I don't love a rookie head coach's chances of playing Belichick, so that's 2 losses, I think, right there. I don't think they're quite on the caliber of the Bills, so that's 2 losses there. And their schedule, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Look, I like the Tyreek Hill addition. I still don't think you've solved anything. Your line still isn't that great. Yeah, you have better weapons now, but Tua still is not that guy. Nothing's changed. I still don't think he's that guy. And you lose the defensive prowess of Brian Flores, which has been the team's strength. I don't know what they hang their hat on right now, outside of, we just have a really fast guy to throw to.
Yeah.
But a guy that can't get it downfield to him. So I'm going to go under 8.5 on account of tough division, and I think they're a little bit overrated right now.
The Dallas Cowboys at 10.5.
That's one of the easier unders for me. Like I said, you lose your top pass rusher, your top receiver, your number 3 receiver, and 2 of your top 3 linemen. I don't know where production's coming from. Dak is a completely different quarterback with and without Amari Cooper. Amari's gone. Dak is not going to be the same quarterback and not going to be as good, point blank.
The Pittsburgh Steelers at 7.5.
I said this in the first segment, slightly over. I think they probably went 8, maybe scrapped to 9. First of all, Tomlin's never had a losing season, and I do think Kenny Pickett provides the mobility and a little bit more juice than Ben had the past couple years. This offense is going to look a little bit different. It's going to look a little bit more dynamic. You still have Claypool, Johnson, and I love Pat Freiermuth in his second year, and we now have a line to block for Najee Harris. We'll have a running game, still have the same solid defense. I like them slightly over. Now, I don't think they're the playoff team, but I think 8, maybe 9 wins.
The Seattle Seahawks at 6 wins.
That might be one of the easier unders. I think they're tanking. I think they are, that's fine. At least they have a plan. But Drew Lock is not that guy.
No.
Their offensive line is horrendous. Their defense is very overpaid. They don't get enough of a pass rush, and the weapons outside of DK Metcalf are very lacking. I think that's an easy under for me.
The Green Bay Packers at 11 wins.
That's also an under. Who is their number 1 receiver? It's Allen Lazard. Allen Lazard is a good 4 and a medium tier 3, right? That's where he should be in an offense. He's going to be their 1. You lose the best receiver in football, arguably, with Devontae Adams. They lost a starting lineman. one of their best pass rushers is gone and went to a division rival. So they're losing a lot of production, and they're not really replacing it with anything. And that's probably because Aaron Rodgers wanted to back up the Brinks truck and take every single penny of the organization. That's on him. That's on him. Under 11 is pretty easy for me there.
Buffalo Bills at 11.5.
I think that's an over. First of all, I think they might have the best roster in the AFC, and I think Josh Allen is. I don't be surprised if he wins an MVP this year. First of all, the last 6-7 weeks of the season, he had 3 quarterback performances that were chef's kiss. I mean, I think I went on here and said that was Josh Allen's best performance at Bill Belichick, right? Totally took him to school. And then in the playoffs, completely undressed the Patriots again, which is insane to me. So I think with Stephon Diggs, you add Von Miller, they're going to be a really, really solid football team.
The Las Vegas Raiders at 8.5.
See, this hurts me. I'm going to go under. And it's only because somebody in that division has to be last, right? It's tough for me to go into, and I love Derek Carr, but he's going to be the worst quarterback in 6 football games this year, and a rookie head coach against Andy Reid twice a year, which, I don't love that. I don't love that scenario. And on the back end, they are a little weak in the secondary, right? They do have the pass rush, but the secondary is a little bit weak in that division. That's a problem, right? All the weapons in that division and all the high-powered offenses, that's going to be a problem. Unfortunately, somebody has to be last, and I think it'll be the Raiders. Now, they will be the best last-place team maybe in the history of football, but unfortunately under.
The Cincinnati Bengals at 9.5 wins.
I think they're over. I think Pittsburgh is a good team this year, but they're not great. Cleveland, who knows when Watson even plays, right? I mean, if you're looking for a comparison, the last time somebody was up for suspension for a sexual misconduct violation would be Ben Roethlisberger. He got 4 games in 2010, and he only had 1 or 2 cases. Deshaun's got 22. So I don't know where it stands. Plus, just society in general. I mean, he's probably going to get more, right? He's going to get more. So who knows when he's going to play? So Cleveland might not be as good. And I think the Ravens are a little bit overrated. Now, I did like their draft, but the division's not the juggernaut it normally is. And the Bengals got better on the offensive line, which was their weakness. So I'll take over on 9.5. I think they win the division.
Okay, so the Tennessee Titans also at 9.5 wins.
That to me is an easy under. You lose your best receiver, so now you are completely relying on Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, who, fine with Derrick Henry, but in this day and age, you can't be reliant on a running back if you want to win a lot of football games. It just can't happen, especially if you want to keep going in the playoffs and all that. And so now if we're putting it on Ryan Tannehill's arm, I think he is better than some people give him credit for. But I'm not putting my franchise in his hands and saying, he's going to win me 11 games on his arm alone. The defense is okay, but it's gotten marginally better, not good enough to really compete and carry that football team. We'll go under 9.5.
The San Francisco 49ers at 10 wins.
To me, that's an under. With a quarterback who I have no idea how good he's going to be, Trey Lance. He looked really unrefined last year, unless he got polished up this offseason. I don't love him to be uber successful this year. I think overall he'll be okay. This year, I don't love it. And who knows if Debo's going to play or is he not going to play? George Kittle's been injured the last couple of years. Is he going to be the same player? Is he going to be hurt? Their offensive line regressed slightly. Their defense will still be pretty good.
Yeah.
But also, even in his own division, he's going to be the worst quarterback in 4 of the 6 divisional games, right? I mean, Stafford's better, Kyler's better, and even the one team that has a bad quarterback, Seattle, always gives Kyle Shanahan fits. Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan, Carroll always gives Shanahan fits. So I don't see, and their schedule's brutal. It's one of the toughest schedules in the league. So I'll go under 10 for the Niners. Slight down year for them. I think they'll rebound pretty quickly within the next year or so after that. I think that's all we got.
So yeah, we got the Miami Dolphins 8.5 under, Cowboys 10.5 under, Steelers 7.5 over, the Seahawks at 6 with under, Packers 11 under, Bills 11.5 over, Raiders 8.5 under, Bengals 9.5 over. The Titans with 9.5 under. And to finish it all off, the San Francisco 49ers at 10 wins, and we got the under on them. Kind of surprising to me that they are a 10-win team, for the over-under, with Trey Lance starting.
Yeah, I guess I figured 8.5, 9, maybe 9.5. But
I just feel like it's a little inflated.
Any of my decisions that you disagree with? Like Dolphins under, Cowboys under?
No.
Any of those that you disagree with?
No, I don't.
You're on board?
I'm on board with all of them. And you know what the great part about having YouTube is? You can see them right here. Got the predictions up there. Go like it on Instagram. That graphic will be up there as well.
We're going to transition into something here about Chicago and Justin Fields. So I'm a little bit worried about what I'm seeing out of Chicago, right? So I know generally this is not a Chicago podcast, especially not a Chicago Bears podcast, because honestly, couldn't care less. But I do like Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields, so I do care a little bit about his success. And plus, I think this is pertinent to how the Steelers should try to bring up their young quarterback, right? So this is a cautionary tale happening as we speak. Here's what the Bears have done since Justin Fields has been drafted and kind of taken over the starting role. Here's what they've done. Fire an offensive coach. Trade Khalil Mack, the only other real star. Let the all-pro receiver they had walk, Allen Robinson, gone. Signed a couple backup running backs. Signed a number 2, maybe a number 3 receiver. Probably more like 3 and 4 guys, but optimistic, maybe 2 and 3. And they've signed like 7 linebackers and 5 corners. Probably 3 of each will make the team. So here's what they're thinking. To sum up, let's get a young quarterback, take away the only 2 all-pro players, fire the offensive head coach, and get a defensive head coach, and give them a bunch of new terminology in year number 2. And then we start thinking about quarterbacks that have had all that drama and head coaching changing in their first couple years. Well, Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones, and we see how they're playing out. So that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And then sign 0 notable players. Not a single one. Okay. Right. So going into next season, Justin Fields will be at a significant weapons disadvantage in 14 of 17 games. The only 2 that off the top of my head, I forget the other one. The Packers twice, because the Packers they have horrific weapons. They don't have any. He'll be at an advantage there. I forget what the other team is. I think maybe the Texans, you could argue. Oh, he also plays the AFC East, who has 3 defensive head coaches, 2 of which are high-end and elite, right? McDermott and Bill Belichick. One of which is still kind of young, Robert Saleh, but has proven that he knows what he's doing on the defensive side of the football. Oh, and by the way, he also gets Ron Rivera and Lovie Smith, who they might not be flashy and they might not be these young, progressive defensive head coaches, but they're certainly solid, veteran defensive coaches that are going to implement blitzes and coverage packages to confuse Justin Fields. This is a team that I swear on my life I can see going 1-16, 2-15. Point me out a strength. Point me out one unit where you're like, oh, they can hang their head on that. Linebacker? Look at the 2 teams that made the Super Bowl last year. What is the weakness of both of those teams? Linebacker. I don't care if you have the best middle linebacker. This isn't 2004 football where Ray Lewis can run the league. It's just not the case anymore. Having the best middle linebacker does not make you a good football team anymore. Now, it used to be an integral part of your team. Now, I'd rather pay DBs, edge rushers, wide receivers, left tackles, and quarterbacks. Those are my 5 positions. They don't have strength at any of them. I love Justin Fields, but I would not consider him a good quarterback yet.
No.
Their line is awful. It's been awful for years. Their number 1 receiver, like I said, Darnell Mooney, fine, not special, a little bit undersized, more of, not a gadget guy, but reminds me more of Tyler Lockett than a Devontae Adams, right? We want more of,
Devontae.
Right. There's a spectrum, right? The body type, the receiver type, not ideal. Edge rusher. I can't even think of one. You traded yours away, Khalil Mack. DB, Eddie Jackson. He had a down year last year. Not that good, and he's more of a safety anyway. I mean, point me out a strength on this football team, because I can't see one. David Montgomery at best is the 14th best running back in the league. At best. That's your strength?
And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the Chicago Bears refusing, like their front office, GM, owner, refusing to see the way that the league is changing and the league is moving. Because the NFL, I would say, is probably one of the most fluid leagues in all of professional sports.
It's always changing.
I mean, we talked about it on the show. We saw it this year. When's the last time you saw a football team with a garbage offensive line make it to a Super Bowl because of a great quarterback and just a star receiver.
Well, outside of the Bengals, you're saying?
Outside of the Bengals.
Like almost never.
Exactly. So this league changes, it molds, it becomes different. Different positions have more value at other times than other positions do. Like linebacker, I don't want to say a dying position, but it's not the position you should be putting all of your money into. You should not be investing all of your cap space into linebackers. The league it's a pass-heavy league now. Linebackers don't cover the pass as well as a DB does.
Yeah, and they can't cover as many. But like a good coverage safety, I would even pay more than a linebacker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, because then you can cover wide receivers, tight ends, even running backs out of the backfield. I'd rather go get a top DB, though, right now.
Like Minkah Fitzpatrick has done more for the Steelers already than, I don't know, a Vince Williams has ever done for the Steelers in the past game.
Right, which, by the way, just got hired over at Pine Richland as the defensive coordinator, I think.
Yeah.
Good for him. Anyway, we digress. No, I agree.
The positions of need, they change all the time. The NFL is a fluid league.
So here's a prime example of how to bring up a young quarterback, right? So the Chicago is doing what you don't want to do. Here's what you should do, right? Chargers go get Justin Herbert. Realize he's a star. Offensive line's terrible. His rookie year, they had the 32nd best offensive line. The worst in the league. Even worse than Joe Burrow, yes, and the Bengals, right? Worst offensive line in the league, not this past year, the year before, Herbert's rookie season. They go draft Rashawn Slater. Beast, right? You keep and re-sign Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and all the other weapons around him. And then what you do is you go out, they trade for Khalil Mack and sign J.C. Jackson. Let's go get him a pass rush, and let's go get him a DB so he doesn't have to always win shootouts. Now, granted, you're always going to have a chance to win a shootout with Justin Herbert, but you don't want to have to win 17 shootouts throughout the year.
Yeah.
All right, let's go get a pass rusher in that division, and let's go get a top DB. Look around the division. You need somebody to match up with Devontae Adams, somebody to match up with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, whoever is the top guy in Denver. And now, granted, KC lost their top guy per se, but they still have a bunch of weapons. You need a lockdown. You need a lockdown DB.
And they add Juju, who can be a good possession receiver.
Solid.
He's got size to him. He's going to go over the middle, make some catches.
Absolutely, right? So that is how you build a team around a young quarterback. Offensive line, check. Weapons, check. DB, check. Pass rusher, check. All of it. All of it. Now, outside of Brandon Staley being a defensive-leaning head coach, they've done everything right, but Brandon Staley is very progressive with his offensive ideas. You can be a defensive coach. Sean McDermott's a defensive coach. That's fine. First of all, he had a really good offensive coordinator, and he's very progressive with his offensive ideas. He understands it's a passing league. Let's turn Josh Allen loose. Right? Same thing with Brandon Staley. Yes, he's defensive-leaning, but he understands that offense is the future of the game, right? He's aggressive. He's pushing the envelope, going forward on fourth down. Now, granted, it might come back to bite him if it keeps losing him football games, but he doesn't have an older, less progressive defensive coach, which I think Chicago. Now, Matt Eberflus isn't older, but he is technically year-wise, but he's not old. Right? I'm not calling him old, but he's not quite as progressive as a Brandon Staley, as a Sean McDermott. So I worry a little bit about Chicago. Like I worry a lot a bit. I think they could go. I wouldn't even be surprised if they go 0-17. I saw a TikTok the other day or a video, or I don't know, maybe a reel. Someone said, I seriously think Chicago might go 0-17. And they got me. That's what got me thinking. I'm like, they don't have a single good unit in the division with Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, who you know, talk all the crap you want, but I mean, the man wins games. The man put up stats.
Yeah.
He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got Adam Thielen. Even the Lions right now have better weapons. Point to me a strength on that roster. That's a last place team. The Lions might not finish in last this year.
Insane.
They might throw a party in Detroit.
You think they have a parade for not being last?
Can we officially be Detroit Lion fans so we can go?
I mean, we should go and cover it. If there's a Lions parade for not finishing last in their division, I think we go.
Anyone from Detroit watching this, will you accept us as honorary Detroit Lion fans? Hey, I love what they're building there, by the way. We might as well just talk about this entire division while we're talking here. I actually love what the Lions are building there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, nice little speedy slot guy.
Well, they killed it on their draft.
You go get Jamison Williams, who will take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
You get a pass rusher, right? They already had a decent pass rush. Now you get Aiden Hutchinson, got a pass rush.
And he's a hometown guy.
Hometown guy.
Fits the story.
Absolutely.
You got a guy to rally around.
They already have a really nice offensive line. Look, we can bang on Jared Goff all we want. Dude's been to a Super Bowl. If you can keep him upright, he will distribute the football enough to win you football games. Dan Campbell's building a really nice culture there.
Look, I'm not saying the Lions are going to be like good by any means, but I think they're going to be above what their usual standard is in Detroit.
They will be a scrappy 6-7 win team.
Like, it might not be bad watching them on Thanksgiving this year.
No, I'll actually enjoy it. They play really, really hard football. I forget who they play on Thanksgiving. They play good, hard football. I'm excited to watch it. I'm really excited to watch it. I'm also excited to talk to Tyler Bursick here in the third segment, do a little bit of talking about the Penguins. Unfortunate way to end the season, but we'll talk to him.
Still got to wrap it up.
Right, still got to wrap it up. We'll get to a little bit of news, and obviously, who's that Yinzer? Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in the third segment.
What's up? We are back. It is the third segment of our first YouTube video. It's been a fantastic show so far, and
It really has.
We have some good Pens talk to wrap it up. We are going to talk about, the Pens losing, obviously, the first series to the Rangers. Not the news we wanted to cover, but the news we have to cover.
Somber day. Sunday was a rough one.
Yeah, we will be having Tyler Bursick on, our NHL analyst. He will be joining us in about 5-ish minutes. We're going to give our takes, our opinions first, and then we'll get him on, talk to Tyler, and then we'll play some Who's That Yinzer, wrap up the third segment, and wrap up the show, and then basically just get on to editing.
Should be a great time. So, first thing with the Pens, right? To me, first of all, the Crosby injury, it was like the series flipped on a dime, right? They were up, I think, 2 goals at the time, elbow to the head, let up 3 goals in what? 5 minutes, something like that?
Ish, yeah.
Even less, maybe?
I think 3.
From there, it just wasn't the same. And first of all, whenever you come out at home and take a 2-goal lead, you have to.
You got to win.
You got to win.
You got to finish.
You have to find a way to hang that many goals on Igor Shesterkin in a series and play that well offensively to blow those leads. It was upsetting.
Yeah,
it was very upsetting.
It wasn't just one blown lead. It was the blown series lead 3-1. It was the 2 or 3 games that we were up like 2 goals and blew those leads
both
as well.
Game 5 and Game 6.
So the Penguins disappointed a lot. My biggest thing, I just feel like we look like the Penguins look like they fell asleep in the second period.
Slow
in half of the games. We would dominate the first period, dominate the third period, and in the second, it was just like so mellow to get started. I don't know if we were starting to like play back on our heels, play a little bit more defensive, and give the Rangers a couple more opportunities. But we sat back. Our back check looked non-existent. The forward check looked non-existent. There were times where we were full strength and we couldn't get the puck out of our zone for like 3 minutes. They would just be shelling Louis Domingue.
Right.
Which is that's not the recipe if you have a young goaltender. Yeah, in the playoffs, are you kidding me? I just feel like the Pens lost all of their momentum, and that's really what they needed. When you lose your captain, you have to have some sort of momentum to carry you through, and getting started by, giving up 3 goals, bang, 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 right away, not exactly the way to do it.
Yeah, not a good start. As soon as your captain goes out, give up 3 in a row. But has anyone ever noticed that whenever there's a loose puck, why are we never near it? I don't get it. There'll be a rebound, or they'll be playing like in the near corner. Puck will squirt out right in front of the net. Why do we never have anybody in the right spots?
No.
And I don't know if that comes down to philosophy. Maybe they're skating back. They're more focused on the back check, like more than they are being aggressive in the offensive zone. I would have liked to see him go for it a little bit more. Like, it just seemed every time there was a puck in front of the net where it was a prime rebound opportunity, or the puck squirted away from somebody, or there was a turnover and it got tipped and it's right in the middle of the ice. We didn't have anybody there.
No.
There was never anyone there. It seemed like we just got beat to every loose puck. And I don't know if that's a hustle thing. I don't know if that's a philosophy thing. Maybe we're back checking, like I said, a little bit more than we were being aggressive on the offensive push. But it just seemed like we were late to every single puck.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And another like glaring stat that I feel we should point out is, did you see the shots on goal? The numbers from game to game.
We were putting almost 50 on them every game.
The Penguins dominated shots on goal. I think some of that can be put up to, okay, some of them weren't all that quality of shots.
They were just thrown to the net.
And they were thrown to the net and happened to be on goal. But at the end of the day, the Penguins still dominated in time of possession for the most part, and they dominated in shots on goal. So I'm just having when you get those opportunities, you have to be able to put the puck in the back of the net.
So I will say, though, even though some of them weren't that quality, a lot of our goals this series were ugly, scrappy, classic Patrick Hornquist-looking goals, right? Where you're scrapping deflections, scrapping in front of the net a little bit. So I feel like a lot of the goals were that. So I'm not going to knock them for throwing the puck to the net per se. But you got to cash in a little bit more. And I was talking to my one buddy, and I was like, if we're going to win, we are going to have to do it with these ugly goals.
Yeah.
Right? We are not skilled enough to beat Shesterkin on a one-on-one basis, right? Where it's like, me, you, I'm in the slot, let's go. Like, we're just not good enough. At least I thought we were. Turns out we're not. Most of them were ugly goals. But whenever you get into overtime, it got a little more skilled, right? Those top lines are out there a little bit more. We're not putting our fourth line out there anymore, right? We shrink it down to maybe top two, maybe the third line gets a shift, right?
Yeah. It's
overtime. These are all skilled players. The gritty goals just aren't going to play in overtime quite as much. And I think they got exposed a little bit, right? Shesterkin was a wall in the third period in overtime. I don't know. It was discouraging.
Either way, we have Tyler Bursick waiting. He's going to be on the phone here, so let's get to Tyler.
Tyler, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on?
Oh, not much. A little upset about the Pens. First of all, I predicted that they would lose in 7 on last week's episode. Look, I wasn't happy about it. I didn't want to predict that, but I was right, and I said, look, first of all, the goaltending was an issue, and then once the Rangers got going, won that game at the Garden in Game 5, won Game 6 on the road, I said there's no way they're losing when they go back to the Garden in Game 7. What was your takeaway from the series, and, you know, why, in your evaluation, why did they lose? What was it that pushed them over the edge to not be able to close that series out?
I think, to be honest, I think it's just injuries. I think injuries really hurt us. You know, Raquel goes down in the first game. He gets absolutely rocked, which sucked. But, I mean, that's just playoff hockey. You got to expect to just have your head up all the time. Granted, I think that was a late hit, but whatever. And then obviously the goalie situation, you know, Jari breaking his foot at the end of the regular season, and then DeSmith going down in Game 1 in the overtimes. And then you're literally stuck with a third-string goalie that posts baking videos on TikTok and Instagram. So, I mean, yeah. And then, you know, blowing leads, like the amount of leads we had, I mean, I was at Game 6. We were up 2-0. PPG was absolutely rocking when we were up 2-0 early, and then they just sucked the life out of us. I mean, credit to the Rangers. They didn't quit. They didn't quit once, and it was terrible. But yeah, I mean, injuries and blown leads is just terrible. If a full healthy Pittsburgh Penguins roster beats the New York Rangers in 5 or 6 games.
So, You've played hockey pretty high level, right? You were playing in high school, you know, all that, and even into college a little bit. So what was the reasoning, like from your experience playing hockey, losing a lead like that? How does it normally start? Is it a breakdown defensively? Is it maybe an injury and everybody gets deflated? Like what leads to the blowing leads? Because we had a 2-goal lead in both Game 5 and in Game 6, and a lead in the third period of Game 7.
Yeah.
What goes wrong from a hockey standpoint to lose a lead like that?
That's the thing. There's so many things that can go wrong, and it's things that, like, you know, people don't really even think about. Like, it can be, you know, a guy slips, like literally just loses an edge and slips. It can be a big hit, changes the momentum of the game. It can also be, you know, say a player goes down, shoots the puck, misses the net, and then the puck gets rimmed around the board. Next thing you know, the Rangers are going the other way, and it's an odd man rush or whatever. It is so many different things that can change the aspect of the game. Or It can even be, Shesterkin makes a massive save, which he did. He made the timely saves that he had to. And then, the Penguins get deflated because that puck should have went in, but it didn't. So then the Rangers are going the other way. It's like, oh my gosh, that should have went in. So there's a bunch of different things that could go wrong. It's just, and when they do, they go bad because there's a saying in hockey that 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey because after you score those two, the away team or the team that's down has all the momentum in the world to come back, and we saw it firsthand.
Tyler, interesting you say that. I also kind of noticed, the Penguins, they seem to get a little bit lazy at times, especially in the second period. All series long, I thought, we dominated them in the first, dominated in the third, and usually for like the back end of that second period, but for the beginning and the most of the middle of the second period, it seems like we got outplayed at every single point in the game. Our back check looked slow, lazy. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. There was times where it was like, oh my gosh, there were times when I literally felt like, oh, this is a Stanley Cup caliber team. Like we can go really deep into these playoffs. And then it was like 5 minutes later, it's like, are we even why are we even in the playoffs? How do we even get here? What the heck's going on? So yeah, I completely agree with you. And another thing I actually wanted to tag along from earlier, I completely forgot our power play was garbage.
Oh, so bad.
So I completely forgot to mention that. But yeah, power play was garbage too. So, but yeah, there was some times it was just like, why are we even in the playoffs? We look so bad right now.
Right, I agree. And you said the power play was garbage. I was watching some power plays. I'm like, it looks like even strength hockey. Like it didn't even. There were some power plays where it didn't even look like we were a man up. Is it hard to kind of get back into a rhythm once the power play has been kind of stymied once or twice? Right? Is it kind of hard to get back into that rhythm? Is that what we were seeing? Is that why they weren't succeeding more?
Yeah, that is a big thing. I mean, in the playoffs, a power play is a given. It should be a given goal because, penalties are harder to come by in the playoffs, or as they should be. Because the refs are letting the players play more than they normally would in the regular season. So
right.
To get on the power plays is a big opportunity for you to put one behind the Shesterkin. But yeah, it was like, there was no momentum at all. When I went to Game 6, we were on a power play, and the Rangers had the puck in our zone half of our power play. And there was literally like a 10-year-old kid in front of me. He's like, I thought we were on the power play. I was like, Sam, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, it was bad.
Even the youngin can see it. Okay, so speaking of seeing, let's go into the future here. Let's see what do the Penguins do to kind of not right the ship. Let's not act like they're a tire fire, right? They still are getting to the playoffs. They're still a super competitive team. But at the end of the day, the standard in Pittsburgh is Stanley Cups, or at least getting farther than the first round. What do the Penguins do to kind of retool here? They got 3 big free agents, Letang, Malkin, who've been centerpieces, and then Rust, who I think could be more of a centerpiece going forward. What do you do in free agency, Tyler? I think you pay Rust, even if you have to pay him a little bit over market value, because Crosby's comfortable with him, and you have to make him comfortable in his old age here, right? Well, not old age, but he's aging. I say go. You got to get Rust first. What is your plan of attack here for the Penguins in the offseason?
No, I agree with you. I mean, they had their exit interviews the other day, and all of them, all the core players were, we want to stay, blah blah blah, and it's just not realistic. I mean, you can't. We don't have the money to do it. And even Rust even said in his exit interview, I feel like I've outplayed my contract, which yeah,
he's not wrong.
For sure has. He 100% has. So I mean, that man's gonna get paid wherever he goes. I just don't know if the Penguins are gonna pay him the money that he wants. I don't know the number. I don't think there is a public number yet for what he is asking. But I think it's going to be a little too much for the Penguins to even bear, even if they get rid of, either Malkin or Letang, which I think for me it's going to be Letang that goes, because I know he's from Montreal, and I think there's been rumblings that if he were to go anywhere, he would go play in Montreal. So yeah, that'd be me. I think Letang is the one to go, and I think, if we decide to pay. If we entertain paying Rust, I think it's going to be a lot more money than I think a lot of people are recognizing.
Right, so I'm not super well versed with hockey contracts. I don't know like what Rust's market value would be. Let's just throw out a number. Say his market value is $5 million a year, right? I would be okay overpaying him a little bit, right? I'm not saying we got to give him $10 million and double what he'd be worth, but I'd be okay giving him $7 million, and maybe we make some concessions on the back end, maybe a little bit less if it's guaranteed, right? I manipulate the contract a little bit, but I would be okay, quote unquote, overpaying him a little bit to make Crosby happy. What's your thinking on overpaying Rust a little bit? Like, would you do it or would you let him walk?
No, I definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't let him walk. I mean, if he wants to stay here, which he's already made very apparent that he wants to stay here, I'm not letting him walk. If it's a matter of, his market value is 5 and we'll pay him 6.5 or 7. It also depends on the term too, right? So, if he's willing to sign a longer contract for that 7 million, then I'm okay with it. But if he wants like a 2 to 3 year term or 7 million, I don't think I'm doing it.
Right, right.
I think I'm doing it for anything 4
or
and
5.
above.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Right. So that's where I'm at. If it's like a 5x7, like a 5 year 7 million, 5 years 6.5, I'll do it. If it's anything less than like 4 years, I mean, I just don't think. Let's see if we can trade him or get him. I mean, not trade him, but let's let him walk. I mean, because I just don't think. Because it's hockey too. Like anything can happen, right? Next year he has a terrible year. Like what happens? And it's like you never know. That's with sports though in general.
And plus,
Right.
violence hockey's such a violent and just contact sport. These players don't last forever. I mean, it's not like a punter in football where they never get hit. These dudes are getting crushed into the boards.
Right.
Everything, this and that, every single night. It's insane.
Right. So Tyler, now kind of transitioning to bigger picture NHL playoffs. First of all, the way the Penguins lost, I can barely even watch playoff hockey right now. I need to take a week off.
Same.
But I did catch a little bit of the Calgary-Edmonton game last night, which was absolutely insane. Calgary won 9-6. That's my pick, and I think it's more of a dark horse pick. I like Calgary to win it all. Look, their fourth line looks like a top line to me. Like it's insane. The team speed that they play with is something like I've never seen. And they were playing against Edmonton, who is one of the fastest teams in the league. They looked slow compared to Calgary. That's my dark horse pick. Who do you like to win it all and why?
That game last night was insane. I mean, they were down 6-2 in the beginning of the second period, so
Right.
It's wild. But I mean, I don't know, and obviously it's going to be easier, and I would like to just get a few more games to see, because obviously, it was Colorado to win it all, based on how they just manhandled Nashville in the first round, but the Blues are a completely different team, and the Blues are good. Like the Blues are very good and very underrated. So like if they took it to 7 games with Colorado and beat them, I would not be surprised if the Blues were to move on maybe to the Stanley Cup. To be honest with you, because I mean Calgary is a wagon, but at any moment, Connor McDavid can just turn it on and go score whenever he wants to. So and also Draisaitl, I'm pretty sure he has a banged up ankle. So,
Fair.
But yeah, I liked it. I like the Calgary pick, but it just depends on what that Blues and Colorado series does because Colorado is just so scary. McKinnon's just ridiculous. The whole team is just insane.
Right, Cale Makar, etc. But I mean, Bennington's playing out of his mind. So I mean, the Blues wouldn't be a bad pick either.
Yeah, I definitely think the West wins it this year.
I agree.
I will say that. I think the West takes it this year because, I think that either Calgary, all 4 teams
could win it
in the West right now could 100% win it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Tyler, it's been great picking your mind, man. You are certainly more knowledgeable about hockey than we are, so we really appreciate you stopping in to talk a little bit of hockey with us.
Absolutely, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing this one on YouTube. Let's go.
Yes, sir, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
All right, see you guys. Thanks.
God, it is just great talking to him. I mean, the thing is, look, we know sports really well, really, really well, more than probably the average person, but when it comes to hockey, we're not as well versed. Hockey's a very complex game when you get into it.
Yeah.
It's all moving very, very fast. So unless you've played it, it's really hard to fully understand the game. So we can understand kind of the dynamics of a hockey team, but it's really hard to understand in that moment, like what's the right play.
Right.
Different quote unquote plays that they run. A little bit, screening the goaltender. All those are all set plays that unless you've played hockey at a really high level, it's kind of hard to understand what's going on. Right? I'd be able to tell you that with baseball, right? The cat and mouse with the runners, getting signs, right? If a guy's early, where are we rotating? Are we shifting, right?
And football with different matchups, things of that nature. I mean,
right. So
pretty well versed through that.
Right, unless you've played it, it's tough. So it's nice getting his perspective on it. I've been saying this. If Rust wants a little bit more over market value, I'd pay it. And Bursick kind of agrees. He was like, if we get him for 4 to 5 years, he'd sign that a little bit above market value. I think we threw out a number. If 5 is market value,
right,
he'd say he'd pay him 6.5 only if he agreed to a 4 or more year deal, which I guess makes sense. If you're going to give him a lot of money, you might as well be more secure. And how long are we going to have him? I think Rust has to be your number one target.
Has to be. I would go.
He's got the longest runway of all the 3 big free agents, Malkin, Letang, and Rust. He's the youngest.
Yeah, he's the youngest. I think he added a ton down in the playoffs, too. He was real scrappy. So today, if I'm the Pens GM, I'm signing Rust. And then I'm talking with Letang, I'm talking with Malkin about a possible hometown discount if they want. I don't see it with Letang. I would see Malkin probably wanting to retire a Penguin, finish out with Crosby, the whole 9. So I think, if anything, you sign Rust. You do what you can to have Malkin at a discount. He has to realize that he's older, he's deteriorating, his value isn't what it was, right? He's not 20 anymore. He's in his 30s, okay? Right. So he's getting slower. He's getting a little more injury prone. We've seen him be out, quite often. So I would say go sign Rust. Rework that Malkin thing a little bit. Talk him down. Try to see if you can get him. If not, okay, let's go get some new blood in there. But if not, if he would be willing to rework, I would totally love to see Malkin back on the ice. But I think Rust has to be your number one priority. I don't even think it's that close.
I agree. Okay, so let's get to a little bit of sports news here before we finish up with more of a fun-ish segment, kind of, like a Who's That Yinzer right at the end. So a little bit of news out of college football. So Nick Saban went on, I don't know if it was a podcast or a show, whatever, talking about, this team's paying these guys and they're paying them, and Texas A&M bought all their players. Jimbo Fisher wasn't a fan.
No.
Which, hey, he's just sticking up for his boys in his program. And he was adamant, we did nothing wrong here. Like, we're all doing it by the book, which is fine. The book is just crazy right now. Nobody knows the rules, right?
Yeah.
There are no rules.
There is no book right now.
Right. So I don't think Jimbo's lying per se, right? I think he's right in saying, look, I don't really know. Look, we didn't do anything wrong. So and he was saying, look, go ask Nick Saban, his employees, all of his assistant coaches, who he really is as a person, and you'll see. So they
kind of taking a shot.
A big shot, right? He even said the quote, maybe someone should have slapped him. So, hey, Jimbo's not taking any of it. He at one point was like, at every point he was saying, I feel like he would say 2 or 3 sentences, and then he would go back to the basic, go ask the guys who work for him what they think of him. That'll tell you all you need to know. And then he'd say a couple more things. If you go talk to those guys, you'll really get a feel for him and how it is or whatever.
Some animosity there for sure.
That game this season is going to be fun.
I can't
wait. That's going to be one of the better watches in college football this year.
Because those players are going to stick up for their coaches too.
Right. Also, and he was straight up insulting the players too. He was ripping on the players and the players' families for getting paid and getting money. It's like that is now legal. Like I don't see what the issue is here.
I think some people are just slow to change.
I guess. That'll be one of the better watches in college football.
Yeah. Some NFL news. Antonio Brown sending out a tweet that he wants to retire a Steeler, then immediately sending out a supplement tweet to that saying, just retire, not play, just to clear it up. What do you think?
I'd probably go, if I'm like the Steelers, whoever decides this, I don't know if it's like the owner, whatever.
Do you let him retire a Steeler after what he's done?
Yeah. I'd let him retire his Steeler just because all it is like he pops back, I don't know, holds the jersey up, walks out the Heinz Field one more time, and that's it. Right? Like, I mean, he technically retires a Steeler. He signs like a one-day contract. That way it says he was a Pittsburgh Steeler when he retired.
Yeah.
Look, I will say his best years were here. My thing is, first of all, didn't play in a lot of big games, didn't win a championship, didn't get that deep in the playoffs with him. So was he one of the more skilled receivers ever as a Steeler? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The prime years, 2013 to 2018 AB, is that 5-year stretch is up there with any 5-year stretch in the history of football.
And there's no arguing that point. I mean, he was a great receiver. But we didn't win a championship with him. No.
Clearly, he didn't lead to winning. That's how you measure great players. And Vince Williams came out and was like, well, he tweeted, it said something like, damn right he should. He's the best Steelers receiver to ever play. Like, to ever play for the Steelers. Best receiver to ever play for the Steelers. I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes. How about Swan, Stallworth, nothing? Hines Ward, none of, no, that doesn't matter. How about Santonio Holmes, who made the catch in the Super Bowl?
The timeliest catch.
Oh, and by the way, he had like 4 or 5 catches on that drive alone.
Oh, yeah.
So, to say that AB's the best wide receiver to ever wear a Steelers uniform, I don't know about that. Would I let him retire a Steeler? Yes. Do I think we need to retire his jersey and have a massive ceremony? No, I don't. I think you could have him for the, I don't know, give me like the second or third, home game against somebody that we really don't care about. And this is good.
Yeah.
All right. Second or third home game, who cares? We don't have to make a big deal about it. Let him retire a Steeler. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Who's that Yinzer?
Who's that Yinzer? I was going to say, is it time yet?
It is that time.
I've been waiting the entire episode for Who's That Yinzer. We got some good ones. Last week was the very first week that both of us hit them and both got right on Who's That Yinzer. So let's see. Do you want to go first again? Or do you want me to go first?
I want to go first.
Okay. All right. I'll play it and then we'll give a hint afterwards if you need it.
And all these guys that I loved watching at Three River Stadium, and then so it was interesting. I went from a full-blown fan as a youngster, 7, 8, 9 years old, to being an even bigger fan going into high school, and then having
Neil Walker.
There it is. I gave you a little lob up. I was recording it and I was like, oh man, like this is gonna be way too easy.
The one is pretty easy for me too, so We'll see.
All right.
Look at that. Didn't even need a hint. I didn't even need to finish. For a second, though, I was almost thinking Garrett Cole. Because they both kind of have that little bit of a pitch to them. Right? They're not super deep voice. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
We're held today, I think Trump would win. Right? I don't think that there's somebody.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I figured. Okay, so we both gave a couple easy ones. I don't know why, but the only interview I could find was like mostly political. I was like, all right, well,
of Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
because that's all he does these days.
He answered like two questions about sports, and then most of it was like, hey, like, you thinking about running for president? I'm like, why is Mark Cuban? Granted, he's a smart guy. I'm not sure how much policy he knows, but
yeah, I mean
that's for a different time.
And then you couldn't pick the Shark Tank ones because then you have that dun dun.
Right.
In the background, there's just a giveaway right there with the Shark Tank music.
Right, I should have known that he talks so much. Everybody knows his voice.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a pretty dead giveaway. By the way, obviously he did not become famous in Pittsburgh, but he is from Pittsburgh.
So he does qualify as a Yinzer.
Qualifies as a Yinzer. I mean, spent most of his, I think, younger life here, right? Obviously, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, big mogul guy, worth billions and billions of dollars.
Good for him.
Sweet, whatever. No, I mean, seriously, good for him. He's a good guy. Good Yinzer for Who's That Yinzer. But, guys, we really appreciate you hopefully watching. Even if you are listening, we still appreciate that. Go check out YouTube. It's in the link tree.
Yeah.
I mean, you could find it pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
If you look for more than 3 seconds, you'll be able to find it. Also, if you have Spotify, what's up?
Go check us out on Spotify.
Right.
We got a ton of stuff. We've been rolling this out for a while now, so definitely excited to get this out. And then, I mean, it's only going to get better from here as we get some experience with it. So, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for stopping by. And that was The Issue.